Greetings, everyone. Welcome once again to TFT Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with Oberon and Banshee. This is me, Oberon, with my weekly show, Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges. It's my weekly tarot card reading for the signs of the Zodiac as ordered by their elemental association. So I do them in a group like that. I do the air signs, the earth signs, etc. So we always start off with a reading from our collective oracle, our collective thought for the day with the oracle, the Isis Tarot. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now to get us started. So this is for everyone in the viewing audience. And this reading is for today, Friday, the June 11th, till next Thursday, and that's June 17th. All right. So just going ahead to pull that card. And I have Wave, which is number 14, and it's reversed. There we go. Put that there. Indifferent and passive, has no personality, turns with all winds, a fashion fanatic, unsteadfast and fickle, frivolous. The results are not in agreement with expectations, a result that cannot be influenced. Things go their way without us being able to correct. Competition in relations and business, connected with money. Cooperation with others is doomed to fail. Querent neglects his business. So that's probably for everybody to differing degrees. I hope that it's not the most horrible outcome for us. So watch that, as they say. So then now we're going to start off with our reading, and we do start with the air signs. Air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, the element of air. And we do their focus card from the Eglipikos Tarot, which is, again, Egyptian themed. So I'm just going to give them one last shuffle. I kind of pre-shuffle these guys just to warm them up and all that. One more was good. The focus of the week for the air signs. Speculation. I think air signs are going to be really thinking about what their prospects are with love, and mostly in terms of maybe a sort of investment. Love and emotions will broaden that. Do we analyze the various emotional relationships or factors in our lives, or the possibilities that when we have more than one emotional love prospect, or something similar, that maybe we do a calculation on them. We do a sense of accounting to determine potentiality per our own luck rate, our success rate. So it's kind of interesting, but you know, we are talking about the air signs, and so even in matters of romance and affection, they may possibly think more from their head than from their heart. This is just saying that maybe this week that's kind of emphasized. So now we're going to go on with the rest of the reading, and for that I use the Ancient Egypt Tarot by Clive Barrett. And again, it was pre-shuffled, but I give it another little toss there to see how it's going. Warm it up again. So the first card from this set is, what emotional happiness will the air signs find this week? And it's very numinous, I guess. Maybe it's good to, speculate about where you're going with affairs of the heart, because your happiness seems to be bound up with destiny, with the sense of the star, what the star brings for the sense of destiny. So to you, I suppose, something's going to happen quite fortuitously in terms of love, romance, relationships with others, emotional happiness. It may be that a stroke of luck brings a former love back, or former best friends back, or that you just maybe have that literal love at first sight. So I don't know if that's in the cards for you, but if you're looking for it, I hope it could be. Okay, so now the second card from the set, and this is your challenges this week. What are the things that are emotionally challenging and or surprising to you? And we have the reversed Three of Swords. I think what's challenging or surprising maybe is that there's a situation going on where you need, or you will be considering mending some fences, getting over perhaps an extreme heartbreak, an extreme emotional upset. I have the feeling that this involves trust. Your trust was let down, someone else's trust was let down, and that what is the challenge with that reverse Three of Swords is the rebuilding of that relationship. So I'm wondering if for air signs, major relationships are in the focus this week, and we should keep all of this in mind. And once again, for a reader like myself, the sword suit tends to represent more of the air mental element. So there's definitely some thinking stuff going on here, but it definitely concerns what's going on inside too. All right, then, let's wrap that up, and we're going to see that the final card pertains to the emotional situations that are concerning to those we care about the most. So those could be our lovers, our family, our friends, neighbors, you name it. It's really up to you who you feel the most about. We have the reversed Ace of Swords, and it's reversed. So I'm thinking that some folks have been thinking around you that maybe they've been trying to rekindle, restart, or start anew relationships that tend to bring them emotional security. The Ace of Discs, and then the concept of emotions. And so maybe these folks are feeling they're not off to a good start, or that there's things that are backfiring in their plans. And of course, we have Mercury retrograde right now. We have it for 10 or 11 more days. So I'm thinking that could be a little bit of the culprit here, but it seems like those around you are challenged by the idea that what they are trying to lay down to create an emotional security for themselves, a new beginning for all of that, is challenged right now. And so maybe your challenge will also be meeting across with them. So briefly again, air signs have speculative abilities going on, their focus about what's really going down in their emotional sphere. What may be most happy is that we feel we have a stroke of luck or great fortune in the romantic or other strong emotion department, somebody coming back into our lives, or something happening that's so lucky and synchronistic. But we're challenged because we have to mend some heartache too. Maybe that's what this is the opportunity is coming back to re-embrace something and work on mending it. And so maybe from the other side of that, there are folks who are saying their key need right now, if you were in this relationship, is security. So if this is pertaining to a particular relationship, a strong, primary relationship, this is all very interesting. And I think you air signs need to pay attention to the clues that are out there. So good luck with that. And we're going to move on now to the fire signs. Fire signs. And fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And their focus, or word of the week from the Eglipikos, is premeditation, which came up recently for other signs in another reading. And again, it sort of is talking about the mental element. The mental element is not exclusive to air signs. And I'm starting to feel the tip of the Mercury retrograde grinding away at things. This is mental, and maybe this is saying in anything about emotional relationships and situations, you really need to think through what your plans are. If you think, oh, this is that week that I'm going to tell Susie or Tommy or whoever, I really like them. Make sure you really think about that and kind of plan that. Be prepared for the possible contingency that you're totally wrong. You've been misguessing the clues, and that person doesn't care at all about you at all. So hopefully it won't be that dramatic, but I would just say use the thoughts before the actions in this week ahead, fire signs. Alrighty, so let's go right on to that reading again. And, of course, my favorite fire sign is my wife and partner here at Tarot for Today, and that's the Banshee. So I do hope you watch her Sunday show. It's Banshee's Material Manners, and it's pretty much the material corollary to my emotional. So you kind of get the sense of what's practical for you to do besides what I'm telling you is practical to do emotionally, but this is more the practical to do with your finances, education, investments, all of that. Banshee's Material Matters, 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Watch it. Because she always plugs me too, so I gotta plug her. She's my heart and soul. Alrighty. So, what will be pleasant, what will be emotionally wonderful or whatever for the fire signs this week? The Queen of Discs. Queen of Discs is reversed. Your emotional happiness maybe is based around the fact that you feel you can loosen up a little bit on the nurturing stuff. That as a reverse Queen of Discs, sometimes the nurturing qualities are really in abundance. And I think because it's reversed here, I think this is saying you have a sense that this is not really fulfilling right now to be nurturing mode, that maybe for some reasons we can't exactly understand. You would probably rather hold tight on an even keel here, not applying too much emotional stuff to your life, but maybe looking at the practicality behind it. And oh my goodness, it almost sounds like what I was thinking about the premeditation there. So I would say that from the emotional happiness perspective, fire signs should find a way to stand down a little bit, to relax, to let sort of the earthly qualities nurture themselves. And I think that you'll find that probably if you're not pushing, if you're not acting before thinking, things may work out better for you. So then, although that sounds quite like a challenge itself, perhaps, what is the actual challenge for the week for fire signs? And we have more discs. Discs are, of course, like pentacles or stones in most decks. We have the Four of Discs here. And the challenge, I think, is that somebody maybe is feeling really possessive in who they love, what they love, the situations they love. It may not even exactly be about romance. It may just be about people we really care about, but we sort of feel we can kind of have more to do with steering their life, or just controlling it, or having an expectation that what they have to give emotionally is a fact and will come to us just because we feel that way. Well, I can see a little bit of that in some fire signs, sort of a sense of expectation about themselves. Some fire signs seem to think that maybe they're more in the center of all things. And this is probably just saying as a reminder, because remember, we have to premeditate before we act, but that as a reminder, we need to not be too, what did I say before? Possessive with the things we care about, that maybe sometimes if you love something, you have to let it free. That's an old song, isn't it? So then finally, we're going to move on to our final card. And this card is what concerns those you do care about, whether they're your lovers, your children, your friends, grandparents, whoever it may apply to. May not be everybody, but it's got to be somebody perhaps. And it's the Two of Swords, and it's reversed. And so the Two of Swords tells me, I think, in this position, that somebody is ready to move forward with their lives in a way, and they may be moving from a position of feeling like they were possessed by someone else, or that maybe somebody else was sort of limiting or overseeing themselves. So I'm seeing that connection there. And like I said, if you love somebody to set them free, I think fire signs, there are some people in your lives who maybe want to be set free. There may not be people that you love per se, but maybe there are situations that you have a certain level of command or control over. And maybe, this could be like an 18-year-old child who's been sheltered most of their lives, and now they really want to get out there and do stuff, and maybe you're going to have to come to terms with that. So it could be something like that. So just once again, a reminder that like air signs, you probably really need to think a little bit before you act. You have some situations where maybe mostly it's about moderation. Queen of Discs, Four of Discs is really about learning to deal with what you got and not to want more, to be too possessive. And then Two of Swords says those around you, they want you to be less possessive too, perhaps. They want at least the ability to move into some new situation. So that's what I have for you guys, the fire signs. So we'll now move on to the water signs. And water signs, like myself, are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And they have their focus word of the week: exchange. Well, in the emotional context, I think this is pretty clear, water signs. You have to be magnanimous and equivalent in terms of the emotionality you wish to receive should also be commensurate with the emotionality that you are willing to give forth. So I think exchange is telling me that fair is fair, and that if you want, to be loved, you have to be able to love. Simple as that. So now let's do our reading with the other cards in the situation. And because I am that water sign, Scorpio, and I have those Scorpio things, I'm going to remind you to watch my show, Goth Tarot, on Wednesdays at 8 a.m., bright and early. It's a very short, 10 to 15 minutes look into emotions from the shadowy side, the things that maybe haunt us on our inner, and that we don't always really have an ability to talk about freely with anybody, or just about anybody. So check that out. I'm going to try to commandeer these cards here to shuffle correctly so I can get back to the reading. Goth Tarot, Wednesdays at 8 a.m. All right, so what will be emotionally happy, pleasing for the water signs? Ooh. You have the Prince of Cups, and the Prince of Cups is upright. So that's pretty nice for us, I think. Water signs. The Prince of Cups is often representing a very intuitive, youthful person, male or female. No, I'm sorry. This Prince of Cups is really like the Knight of Cups. So it's a male energy. It's a male presence. What is happy for you this week, water signs, is that maybe you see your ambitions with love, romance, relationships, pleasurable things moving in the right direction. You see yourself moving into the direction where love can happen for you, where romance, where sweet, tender feelings, good times with friends, renewing relationships with people you haven't seen maybe in a long time due to everything else going on. It's kind of like really what's going on for you this week, this idea that it's all opening up for you. I know I've been saying that for a week or two, that things seem to be changing, but this time it looks even better. So then what is challenging with all that to consider? And now we have the Queen of Swords. And so the challenges, I think, are really deciding where to put those energies. It's kind of like the Queen and the King of Swords are kind of like judges, maybe legal judges, or just the kind of personality that judges in your life. And I think that sometimes when you're a judge, you have to kind of look at what's best for everybody in a way. And so maybe this card is saying that your challenge is really something like that, that your challenge needs to be about being a fair judge and deciding really where emotionally you maybe need to really, I don't want to say limit because it sounds bad, but to really apportion or create the sense of where your context is. I know I'm burbling for words here, but the thing is don't try to conquer more than you can handle. So once again, this is sort of like people knowing limitations in a way. So you are challenged by really making sure that your emotional life, those you love, those you care for, those you must care for, that it's all in your purview and that you really can enact specifically as needed. You want to be strong and do everything the right way. Sorry if that was kind of labored there, but that's what I got. So then finally, with all of that, the last card pertains to those people around you, not all of them maybe, but what concerns those you care the most for, those you may love or feel strongly attached to. And it's kind of interesting that we get almost an analog of the Queen of Swords, but only higher powered, and that's justice. In Egyptian terminology, justice was known as Ma'at, the feather of truth, and I believe it's in the scale there. You can maybe see that in her left hand. In her right hand, she's holding another sword. So that's justice for you, though, right? So I think that people around you really want to have a total fairness. They want to have justice. And I'm wondering if this is maybe pertaining to people around you who have situations where they feel that there is no actual social justice for them, that because maybe they don't fit a certain standard of who, how they love, or how they present themselves as gender or things like that, that they want that standard of fairness applied to them too. They want a society or a sense of continuity around them that respects who and what they are and what they feel. Help them out with that. Now, and it is Pride Month too, so there you go. So I'm just going to lightly recap and just say that water signs need to give as good as they can get. You are charging forth maybe into something really loving you're hoping to. You may want to be trying to make it exactly what you need, like it's a Goldilocks thing. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just right. And then others around you, though, they're just looking at, I think, social justice conditions, even if they're not necessarily somebody who might feel, those ways about themselves. Maybe they're an ally. We all have our allies, and I think the folks in the Pride movement expect a lot of us, or hope that a lot of us will be their loyal allies as well. So I know I'm going to be, so I hope you can be too. So that's what we have for the water signs. And now I think we're going to write it on home with the earth signs. Earth signs: Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Your focus for the week, earth signs: evolution. That's kind of funny because I thought last week the cards indicated that you were evolved, earth signs. I seem to remember you were like just really on top of everything. This week maybe is just saying you still can go a little bit further. So in terms of love, maybe, or romance or emotions, maybe this is saying that there are some things that are going to move within your heart and soul. Acceptance of others that maybe you didn't actually accept before. And I don't know that this is about, the social justice issues. It might just be about who you love, no matter what the context is, or who you have a relationship with, no matter the context, that maybe you are presented with the opportunity to actually evolve your feelings, clarify them in a certain way, and maybe remove any ambiguities about what it is and you and that person, or those kind of persons that are in your life. So let's move on to the rest of our reading. What will be emotionally happy? What will make earth signs emotionally happy this week? The Tower reversed. Boy, I always hate having to interpret that one, especially in the context of the position emotional happiness. I think in context, what this card means is that the lessons that are normally learned in a tower situation, but when reversed, maybe indicates those lessons don't really do much for you. They don't work out for you. They don't achieve an evolution. And I'm thinking that what's happening with this card is that there's the realization that that is true, that this evolution is not really for you, that what you realize that makes you happy is that this lesson could never be learned, or that the results of learning the lesson really took you somewhere else and you probably didn't need to know that. And so it's really more the realization that you didn't need to do this, and maybe you managed to move on from that. There's any number of speculations here. Maybe it was never a lesson or a tower moment for you, and so somehow those energies maybe have reversed. I'm not really sure how I can focus in any more on that. The Tower reverse tends to be a difficult card for most readers, and then trying to say, well, why does this make you happy? It's a little bit hard. I may come back to that But let's move on, and we're going to do our second card, which of course is the sense of what is challenging. And challenging us is the Four of Cups reversed. And I'm wondering if this is saying, it's kind of coming together now, that the Four of Cups is talking about how we have to choose, we have to consider or move past the waiting period of looking at choices and saying, oh, I don't like that, maybe I could like that, but, and maybe this is saying that with that Tower reversed, we know what happened there with the Tower reversed, and maybe we had too many options to consider, and so we took the wrong one, which resulted in the wrong things happening, and therefore the lesson, the practicality of the Tower moment did not work out. Now with that Four of Cups reversed, it's saying really need to move on to a better decision. Maybe there's another option in those ones we didn't think about. And this is all about emotional things. So I'm getting the perspective that maybe there was a real crash and burn with a relationship. It could have been a primary relationship or a very important one. And mostly this is about picking up the pieces and moving on. It doesn't really look like maybe there's a lot there to repair, but we're going to move to the last card because this could tell that, because this could be those who are affected, those around you you care about, and what is their emotional status this week. And it's our friend, the Queen of Swords. She's reversed now. And I'm thinking that the people around us, the ones we care about, they have a decision to make too. Just as you have a decision to make or you have a choice to move towards, maybe they're looking at their choices too if they're involved with you in this situation. And so that Queen of Swords reversed is kind of saying they feel they have to double down on their own position, or that maybe what they have to do has to neglect somebody's emotions and really pursue the truth, even if it is a harsh truth. And so that's maybe where the Four of Cups and the Queen of Swords are kind of merging a little bit. It could be an us-them situation. So this could be a lot of real fallout. There's that Tower reverse there. But really, to me, this situation, whatever it is, seems to be strongly about finding a way to evolve. I don't know what's happening in everybody's lives. Maybe this doesn't pertain exactly to all earth signs, but clearly there's something big emotional happening, and it's probably mostly not that great. It may be about people having to learn lessons. It could be involving betrayals or knowledge. And there's clearly two sides. There's a side that says, I want to just sort of move on in a new direction, forget about this, pick that other choice that I should have. That's not a bad idea. There's somebody else, though, who feels maybe that they're just going to have to be more in terms of what they expect to happen, what their judgment is, what their outcome wants to be. So interesting for the earth signs. Definitely not like it was last week. So I know that that's probably going to be not exactly what you expected, but I know we can pull through this all together. So I'm just going to say, earth signs and all signs, thank you for coming. It may be a rough week for some. It's not for everyone, though. So remember, Mercury's retrograde. Just going to have to try to think before any of our actions, especially when they're involving people's feelings, because it's going to be a rough week. That's all I have for Oberon's outlook on the emotional exchanges, and I hope to see you next Friday. Take care.